As I sit in the quietude of my study, surrounded by the trinkets of a life well lived, my thoughts often drift back to the days of World War II. I was part of a generation thrust into the maelstrom of global conflict, and my memories of that time are vivid, colored by the intensity of youth and the crucible of war. This story is not about the glamorous generals or the iconic admirals who often dominate the history books. It's about the unsung heroes, the sailors, engineers, and shipbuilders whose dedication and ingenuity ensured the survivability of our ships and ultimately our success in the war. Welcome back to Harold's channel. Don't forget to support us with a like, and let's start the story. In the summer of 1939, fresh out of high school, I enlisted in the U.S. Navy. The world was teetering on the brink of war, and I was filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois was a transformative experience. The rigorous training instilled discipline, teamwork, and technical skills that would prove invaluable in the years to come. We were taught to navigate, handle gunnery, and most importantly, perform damage control. Skills that would save lives and ships in the brutal reality of war. Our instructors, veterans of World War I, imparted their wisdom with a stern, no-nonsense approach. They shared stories of past battles, their scars serving as sobering reminders of the gravity of our chosen path. It was during this formative period that I first heard the name Chester W. Nimitz, a man whose influence would profoundly shape my naval career. Nimitz was known for his intellect and innovative approach to naval warfare. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he came from a modest background and rose through the ranks based on merit and an extraordinary aptitude for both engineering and leadership. His journey, from a humble upbringing to a pivotal role in the Navy, inspired many of us. As we progressed through our training, the geopolitical situation grew increasingly tense. The fall of France and the escalating conflict in Europe underscored the inevitability of our involvement. The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, was a watershed moment. I was stationed on the USS Yorktown at the time, and the news of the attack reached us with shocking immediacy. The images of burning ships and the staggering loss of life were seared into our minds. The U.S. Navy, caught off guard, faced a formidable challenge, but there was also a palpable sense of resolve among us. We knew that we had to rise to the occasion. In the aftermath of Pearl Harbor, Nimitz was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet. His leadership during this critical period was nothing short of transformative. He inherited a fleet that had been dealt a severe blow, but his response was characterized by a calm, methodical approach. Nimitz's background as an engineer and submariner equipped him with a unique perspective. He understood the technical aspects of shipbuilding and maintenance, and he recognized the importance of morale and training. One of Nimitz's first actions was to prioritize the repair and readiness of the fleet. He implemented a forward-thinking strategy that involved the deployment of skilled shipbuilders and the necessary tools and materials to maintain and repair the fleet, even in the heat of battle. This approach was revolutionary. It meant that damaged ships could be swiftly repaired and returned to service, significantly enhancing the fleet's resilience. The USS Yorktown became a testament to this strategy. After sustaining heavy damage at the Battle of the Coral Sea, the ship was rapidly repaired at Pearl Harbor. The repair crews worked tirelessly, often around the clock, to get the Yorktown seaworthy again. Their efforts were a testament to the ingenuity and dedication that Nimitz had fostered within the Navy. The Yorktown's return to action in time for the pivotal Battle of Midway was a direct result of this innovative approach. The culture within the U.S. Navy during World War II was one of practicality and ingenuity. This was a direct reflection of the leadership provided by men like Nimitz and Eisenhower. Both came from modest backgrounds and possessed a practical mindset that set them apart from many of their contemporaries. They understood that victory depended not on grandiose plans, but on meticulous preparation and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances. One of the key areas where this culture was most evident was in damage control. Unlike the Japanese, who often undervalued the importance of mundane tasks, the U.S. Navy placed a high priority on maintaining and repairing its ships. Damage control teams were rigorously trained, and their expertise was unparalleled. They pioneered techniques such as filling voids where dangerous aviation fuel fumes would be displaced by inert carbon dioxide and ensuring that fuel lines were drained immediately after use. These details might seem minor, but they were crucial in preventing catastrophic fires and explosions. I vividly remember the drills we went through, practicing how to seal off compartments, fight fires, and patch hull breaches. It was grueling work, but it paid off. During the Battle of Midway, the Yorktown was hit multiple times. The damage was severe, but our training kicked in. We managed to contain the fires, seal off the flooded compartments, and keep the ship afloat long enough to play a pivotal role in the battle. The true heroes of the U.S. Navy during World War II were often the men behind the scenes, the shipbuilders, the engineers, and the yard workers. Their contributions were invaluable, yet they rarely received the recognition they deserved. At forward bases, these skilled laborers worked around the clock, often under dangerous conditions, to repair and maintain the fleet. These men were the lifeblood of the Navy's operational success, their efforts ensuring that even the most heavily damaged ships could return to the fight. I recall one particular instance when the USS Yorktown needed critical repairs following the Battle of the Coral Sea. The ship had taken a beating and was barely seaworthy. We limped back to Pearl Harbor, uncertain if she could be patched up in time for the next engagement. It was here that I first witnessed the sheer dedication and skill of the civilian yard workers and naval engineers. Their determination and expertise were nothing short of miraculous. Arriving at Pearl Harbor, the Yorktown was immediately met by a swarm of activity. Repair crews worked tirelessly, stripping away damaged sections, welding new plates, and reinforcing vital structures. The dry docks were a hive of activity, with sparks flying from cutting torches and the rhythmic pounding of hammers echoing through the night. These men worked in shifts around the clock, often catching brief moments of rest in between grueling sessions of labor. One of the most impressive feats was the rapid repair of the Yorktown's flight deck. The ship had sustained severe damage, and the flight deck was riddled with holes and fractures. The engineers and yard workers devised innovative methods to repair the deck, using temporary steel plates and support structures to make it operational again. Their ingenuity and quick thinking were crucial in getting the Yorktown back into fighting shape. During this intense period, I had the opportunity to speak with some of these remarkable individuals. Many of them were seasoned shipbuilders who had been working in the yards for years, their hands and faces marked by the wear and tear of their trade. They spoke with pride about their work, understanding the critical role they played in the war effort. Their expertise was a product of years of experience, and their dedication was unwavering. One worker, a man named Joe Thompson, stood out to me. He was a welder, and his hands bore the scars of countless hours spent working with molten metal. Joe had a quiet demeanor, but his eyes betrayed a steely determination. He worked with a precision that was mesmerizing to watch, each weld a testament to his skill. Joe told me that he had 2 sons serving in the Navy, and he saw his work as a way to protect them and ensure their safe return. The efforts of these men extended beyond the physical repairs of the ships. They were also responsible for ensuring that the ships were supplied with the necessary equipment and materials to continue their missions. This included everything from ammunition and fuel to medical supplies and food. The logistical challenges were immense, but the support teams managed to keep the fleet well supplied, often under the most challenging conditions. One of the critical aspects of the U.S. Navy's success was the emphasis on damage control. This extended to every level of the ship's crew, from the officers to the enlisted men. We underwent rigorous training in firefighting, hull patching, and emergency procedures. This training paid off time and again during combat situations, where quick thinking and decisive action could mean the difference between life and death. The culture of damage control was ingrained in us by leaders like Admiral Nimitz, who understood its importance. Unlike the Japanese Navy, which often lacked comprehensive damage control training, the U.S. Navy placed a high priority on it. This emphasis on preparedness and adaptability was a key factor in the survivability of our carriers. We were trained to respond to crises swiftly and effectively, minimizing damage and preserving the fighting capability of our ships. I remember an incident during the Battle of Midway that highlighted the effectiveness of our damage control training. The Yorktown had been hit by enemy bombs, and fires had broken out in several compartments. The situation was dire, and the ship was listing heavily. Our damage control teams sprang into action, sealing off compartments, extinguishing fires, and shoring up weakened bulkheads. The teamwork and coordination were incredible to witness. Each man knew his role and executed it flawlessly, working in unison to save the ship. The contributions of the yard workers and engineers were not limited to repair and maintenance. They were also involved in the development and implementation of new technologies and innovations. The U.S. Navy was constantly evolving, adapting to the changing conditions of the war. This included the development of new weapon systems, radar technology, and improvements to ship design. The engineers and technicians played a crucial role in these advancements, ensuring that our ships remained at the cutting edge of naval warfare. One notable example was the introduction of radar technology. Radar was a game changer, providing us with early warning of incoming aircraft and ships. The installation and maintenance of these systems were complex and required specialized knowledge. The engineers worked tirelessly to ensure that the radar systems were operational and integrated into the ship's operations. This technological edge was crucial in several key battles, allowing us to detect and engage the enemy before they could strike. The success of the U.S. Navy during World War II was not just a result of superior tactics or technology. It was the result of the hard work and dedication of countless individuals who worked behind the scenes. The shipbuilders, engineers, yard workers, and support teams were the unsung heroes of the war. Their contributions ensured that our ships were ready for battle, repaired when damaged, and continually improved to meet the challenges of the conflict. As the war progressed, the importance of these men became even more apparent. The battles became more intense, and the damage sustained by our ships increased. The ability to quickly repair and return ships to action was a decisive factor in maintaining our naval superiority. The forward deployment of repair facilities, championed by leaders like Nimitz, allowed us to keep our fleet operational even in the face of severe damage. The USS Yorktown, or the Fighting Lady as we affectionately called her, was a ship that exemplified the resilience and tenacity of the U.S. Navy. The Battle of Midway in June 1942 was a turning point in the Pacific War, and the Yorktown played a crucial role in this victory. Despite being heavily damaged at the Battle of the Coral Sea, the Yorktown was rapidly repaired at Pearl Harbor. The repair crews worked day and night, often around the clock, to get her seaworthy again. Their efforts paid off when the Yorktown joined the fleet just in time for the Battle of Midway. During the battle, the Yorktown was targeted by Japanese aircraft, sustaining multiple hits. The damage was extensive, and the situation seemed dire. However, the damage control team sprang into action. Their training and expertise allowed them to contain the fires, seal off the damaged compartments, and keep the ship afloat. This resilience was instrumental in allowing the Yorktown to launch aircraft that played a key role in sinking several Japanese carriers. Even after the battle, the Yorktown's story was not over. Although she eventually succumbed to the damage and was abandoned, the ship's ability to withstand such punishment and continue fighting was a testament to the effectiveness of the U.S. Navy's approach to damage control and repair. Admiral Nimitz's legacy is one of practical brilliance and unwavering dedication. His approach to warfare, which emphasized meticulous planning, technical innovation, and the importance of every individual in the war effort, was instrumental in the Allied victory. He understood that the success of the Navy depended not just on the officers and the strategies, but on the countless sailors, engineers, and yard workers who kept the fleet operational. Nimitz's emphasis on damage control and forward-deployed repair facilities set a standard that continues to this day. The culture of preparedness and technical excellence that he fostered has been passed down through generations of sailors. This legacy is evident in the safety records and operational effectiveness of modern U.S. Navy carriers. The story of the USS Yorktown and other carriers of World War II is a reminder that victory in war is often achieved not through grand strategies or heroic deeds alone, but through the hard work and dedication of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The men who kept those ships afloat, who repaired the damage and ensured that they could continue fighting, were the true heroes of the war. As I look back on my time in the U.S. Navy during World War II, I am filled with a deep sense of pride and gratitude. Pride in having served alongside some of the most dedicated and skilled individuals I have ever known, and gratitude for the leadership of men like Admiral Nimitz, who understood that the key to victory lay in the details and in the people who worked tirelessly behind the scenes. The war taught us many lessons, but perhaps the most important was the value of every individual contribution. Whether it was a sailor fighting a fire on the deck of a carrier, an engineer designing a new damage control system, or a yard worker repairing a ship under the threat of enemy attack, each played a crucial role in the ultimate success of the Allied forces. Thank you for listening to the entire story. Don't forget to leave your comment below. Goodbye and see you next time.